Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends. It's, frankly speaking, really a great pleasure to be here with you today and also yesterday. And, of course, allow me, first of all, to thank Ante, who is just in front of me, and the well-known president of ANFA and president of the board of the Croatian Financial Services Supervisory Agency, for his kind invitation to introduce this panel on supervision of in the age of AI. That's the second time that I am invited by ANFA. The last one, it was 10 years ago, and the second time I have to say that I'm impressed for the excellent organization. Congratulations to you and to your staff, and also the beauty of your marvelous country. And everybody knows that I have a passion for history, what I am learning every day also about the Thai, I would say, invented also in Croatia. Allow me also to start with a good news and a sad story. The good news is for you, ladies and gentlemen. I will stop on time because I have to take a flight. That's the good news for you, for sure. The sad story is for me, if I may. Belgium means that people have a passion for stupid jokes. I'm sorry for that, no. But I thought that I had a colleague and friend, Ante. But I have to say that I realized that's maybe not necessarily the case after the wise comment made by Ante, because the objective of my speech and today's program is to explain pros and cons of artificial intelligence. And you know what it means, artificial intelligence, which is maybe also a sad story, an explosion of fake news. And I thought, as financial cop, that I would avoid to spread and to provide for fake news. But after the comment made by Ante, I realized that I'm lying for more than 30 years. 30 years. I was indeed appointed as a part-time lecturer at the University of Brussels 30 years ago. So I have the pleasure, I don't know if it's a pleasure shared by the students, many Saturdays when I'm not traveling on behalf of IOSCO, ESMA, and other institutions, to give lecture about financial information. And for, it's not a joke, 30 years I can send an extract of my books, I would say. I am saying to my student, look, double entry accounting was the first book published about double entry accounting, was published in 1494 by a monk in Italy called Lucia Pacioli. I have also the book, and then I realized that I was lying. Because, let us try, Benedict Kotruviewicz was the first one to publish, to publish a book. I think it's fair to say that nobody, in fact, I would say, invented double entry, which seems already to be alive at the time of the Sumerian period, I would say, but it was the first one. I feel ashamed that I was lying to myself because of you. But just to tell you about this, about Europe. This part of the history of Europe in the Middle Age, that's a gorgeous, a fascinating period. The second part of the 15th century, also a pivotal moment like for artificial intelligence. Everything started, I would say. Europe became a reality, not from a political point of view, it's still not the case, as we know, for some aspect, but for trading, business. That's the start of modern capitalism in all Europe. Of course, everybody is speaking about Christopher Columbus, discovery of makers, in 1492. Montepaschi, the first bank. If you want to trade, you need a bank. Montepaschi, 1472. Okay? The first book published about a stock exchange, 1495. Which stock exchange? Which stock exchange? Bruges, in my country. Not the first one. And how was this, the stock exchange managed? By Airbnb, by hotel. Beurs, no? Bourse, it means in fact the name of a family of hotel manager in Bruges. And they were hosting traders coming, able to communicate information, fake news to everybody in order to fix the pricing. That's the start of our modern stock exchange. A new bank, double entry accounting system, exchange letter in order to avoid problem with cash transfer. It was also launched during this same second part of the 15th century. And trading, dear Torsten, Lübeck, Bruges, Italy, Dubrovnik. And of course, we don't forget where is Carlos. Carlos was there. Of course, Charles V, 30 years after that. So Europe already exists, I would say. You know why Erasmus was, I would say, the slogan used by Jacques Delors in order to launch exchange? Erasmus came from the Netherlands, but he lives in Brussels. Just because at the time of the Middle Age, at the time of Erasmus, there were more students studying abroad than in the 80s and the 90s, just before the launch by Jacques Delors himself of the first exchange. So Middle Age, never forget the beauty of the Middle Age, especially for trading and capacity to work in an open environment. And it's also something that we fully support, of course, when we speak about financial supervision. And I think, frankly speaking, Ante, the minister representative, the chief of staff of the Minister of Finance, also there. Thanks for having accepted to attend the second day of this meeting. I think it's important to stress that we as supervisors are not stressed by artificial intelligence. We see the benefit of this, of course. At the same time, I think it's not exaggerated to stress that we stand at a critical moment where technology is not just a tool, but a transformative force. Artificial intelligence is changing how we understand risk, how we interact with institutions, and how we protect consumer and market. Artificial intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, and especially, of course, generative artificial intelligence, has taken substantial leaps forward in recent years. And this is not only the true when we are discussing working at professional level, but also, first of all, in our private lives. This is a real revolution for the banking system. Let us be clear. Never forget that 20 years ago it didn't exist at all. When we are speaking about MiFID, rule of conduct, product supervision, dialogue, it means that we must be able to explain what we are doing as supervisor through a small screen and no more on paper. It's also about the drafting that we are asking to our staff to do. And the financial sector, as I just stressed, is no exception, as we notice a growing implementation of artificial intelligence in banking, insurance, and investment management. And according to a recent study, what does it mean, ladies and gentlemen? 90% of European financial entities have integrated artificial intelligence to some extent, and 72% plan to increase generative artificial intelligence investment. So what could be my message as financial COP and as chair of IOSCO, as you know, the well-known international worldwide organization of financial market product supervisor. IOSCO means, ladies and gentlemen, 130 jurisdictions coming from all continents with a strong input from regional aspect. We have also a regional committee in Europe with 50 jurisdictions. And it means that all together, because it's a membership organization, we are involved, ladies and gentlemen, in various capacity in the supervision of 95% of all the financial market around the world, and we can be proud. So what would be the message in my capacity as IOSCO chair? Not a surprise if I would say a mixed blend approach. Because whenever someone like me is taking the floor for such a subject, it means three parts: risk, challenges and opportunities, of course. And let us start with the positive aspect, I would say, aspect relating to opportunities for us in financial supervision. As you all know, I think that I may say that I am a big proponent of data analytics and of integrating supervisory technology, subtech tools into our daily supervision. What does it mean at the Belgium FSMA? We are working like in the Netherlands, US, and in the UK in a Twin Peaks model. We have chosen to organize our subtech capabilities in a dedicated data science team. The centralization, that was our starting point of expertise, strengthened for me, according to me, our ability to develop technological knowledge and to keep pace with innovation. Artificial intelligence, I think that I may say that after many years of experience, offer us at Belgium level unprecedented capabilities in data analysis, pattern recognition, and predictive modeling. These are not abstract concepts. They are already embedded into subtech tools that enhance our supervisory reach and precision. Subtech tools, powered by artificial intelligence, allow us to process vast amount of complex structured and unstructured data, from transaction record to social media sentiment, also very important, to detect anomalies and emergent risk. The use of large language models allow us to transform unstructured textual data into meaningful risk indicator, which we can incorporate in our supervision. An example of a tool that we are developing at the FSMA is to quantify misstatement risk in annual report. So not only page by page, but I would say a real thematic approach. But one of the biggest challenges in assessing financial report is the sheer volume of data. Here we use large language models to extract and interpret both textual and structured data from annual report. And once the data is extracted, it's automatically cross-checked with other data sources, which allow us to quantify misstatement risk. Furthermore, and of course I would say, machine learning algorithms can identify patterns of misconduct or financial stress before they escalate. And at the FSMA, at Belgium level, we have developed a web scraping tool which combines web scraping with artificial intelligence to automatically collect and analyze large volume of online data. These web scraping tools allow us to early detect fraudulent online credit offering. And it's a tool that proactively detects and monitors online scams. This tool allows us to issue warnings for over 150 fraudulent offerings. In 2025, we are seeing that these tools move from experimentation, always the nice part of the story. You start, the sky is the limit, and then you switch to deployment. So here we are. And I think that I may say that authorities across the globe are integrating artificial intelligence into their supervisory workflows, enabling almost real-time monitoring, automated reporting, and risk-based practice. This is a real game changer. But let us be clear, I would say, if I may just add a personal touch. When we discussed for the first time if we would be on board with many initiatives about artificial, I have to tell you, because that's the truth, and except for the innovator, the inventor of double entry accounting system, think that I'm not lying, I was not convinced. I was not convinced. And I had to be convinced by my young staff saying, we need to be on board from day one. What we did, first of all, is to be attractive for people with thesis, with PhD, which was not the case before at the FSMA. We were used to work people, I would say, with a high degree of capacity to be an enforcer. We have now a team of, I would say, data analysts. All of them more or less have a PhD in economics with a major in statistics and mathematics, but they are not working in an ivory tower. They are forced to work with the different supervisory services. And frankly speaking, the truth is that I was not convinced that it would change my life. I have to tell you, it changed my life. I have much more capacity to find things, which was not the case before, even take into account FSMA, I would say priority for some aspect. I would say cum-cum-ex. Cum-cum-ex, it's a very good exercise. I had the capacity to find evidence of fraud through sampling. Now I have the capacity to manage, of course, thanks to EMIR as well, I would say, to manage all the data, which is absolutely fascinating world. And I have to tell you that I thank my young team to have the capacity, the intention to look, we need to be on board from day one, because frankly speaking, I wouldn't say that the sky is the limit, but it's a new world for us. So artificial is also, I would say, a positive attitude. And I would say even, I am now discussing, trying to have on the payroll other kind of profile, I would say. With this kind of data analyst, maybe some people were not necessarily the best enforcer traditional, but coming with new idea. And that's also the advantage when we speak about human resources management, what we can do with artificial intelligence. And this is not just about efficiency, it's also about effectiveness, because artificial intelligence empower us to be proactive rather than reactive. That's also very important. Not only reactive, there is a market abuse case, but also, okay, let us try to think out of the box. What do we need? Why are the limits of our tools? Let us try to think of the book, and I would say for that artificial intelligence, it's a very powerful engine in order to anticipate risk rather than merely respond to them. Second part of my comment, I would say challenges, and third part, risk. Just because, of course, with great power comes great responsibility. That's part of our job. That's part of the DNA, and that's why we are so proud to be financial supervisor. Artificial intelligence also introduces new risks, some technical, some ethical, and some systemic. The first is opacity explainability. Many artificial intelligence models, especially deep learning systems, operate as black boxes. And if we cannot explain how a model reaches its conclusion, how can we trust it? And to overcome this, we need to build transparent and explainable artificial intelligence system whose decision-making can be understood and interpreted by humans. It's very easy for me to say that in less than 1 minute, 6 lines in my speech. Much more difficult, as you know, to work on it because there are many, many expectations. Our consumer, our political decision maker, our consumer are waiting, and maybe that the expectation from time to time at are expecting that we will control everything. That's not the objective. Risk-based approach. The second risk is bias and fairness. Artificial intelligence systems trained on historical data may perpetuate or even amplify existing biases. And this can lead, as we know, to unfair outcomes in areas like credit scoring, fraud detection, or compliance monitoring. Of course, data privacy and security represent another critical challenge. Artificial intelligence systems often rely on vast amount of sensitive data, raising concern about unauthorized access, misuse, and compliance with data protection regulation. Strong data governance, that's also important to stress, frameworks are therefore very important. And this includes clear policy and controls for data collection, usage, storage, and protection, helping to safeguard privacy and ensure data quality. And finally, of course, there is a risk that supervisors become overly reliant on artificial intelligence, sidelining human judgment, and that's part of the game. That's also, I would say, what we learned from day one. Human judgment and experience, and we must strike, therefore, a balance between automation and accountability. This being said, what does it mean for us as a community? Because I have to tell you, Ante, it's a big success. We have many colleagues and friends coming from all Europe. Congratulations for that. I would say it doesn't happen every day, so great. How to build together the future of supervision? At national level, of course. But I would say more important at European and international level, because it's a cross-border challenge. By definition, we learn from each other. I think that I may say that my staff had discussion with the staff of every NCA. That's important. We learn from you. And maybe that you learn some aspect from small Belgium, I would say. So how do we move forward building the future of supervision? First, we must invest in capacity building. Supervisory authorities must develop internal expertise in artificial intelligence and data science. And this includes hiring talent. In fact, maybe more easy than I would thought. Because people with a lot of knowledge know also that if they work with us, they will discover a lot of things. We are in the center of the financial sector, not a repetitive work, I would say. That's also important for credibility to attract young people with a lot of talent, training staff, and fostering a culture of innovation. Second, we need to develop a clear framework for the use of artificial intelligence. Supervisors should lead in defining ethical principles for artificial intelligence use in finance, such as, of course, transparency, accountability, fairness, and human oversight again. Third, we need to collaborate, of course, across borders. Artificial intelligence knows boundaries. We must strengthen international cooperation to share best practices, harmonize standards, and address cross-border risk. But this, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, clearly shows that international collaboration, whether it is for capacity building, sharing experiences, or setting standards, will be the way forward when it comes to the use of artificial intelligence in supervision. And what does it mean in my capacity as chair of IOSCO, which is, as I stressed some minutes ago, the global standard setter for financial market, financial product, consumer protection? I believe that IOSCO will have a crucial role in this. That's already what we start to do. 4 years ago, in 2021, IOSCO already published the foundational guidance on the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning by market intermediaries and asset managers. That work focused on governance, accountability, testing, and oversight principles that remain highly relevant. However, as we all know, artificial intelligence brings forward the need for a renewed discussion. Therefore, IOSCO has published a consultation report earlier this year on artificial intelligence in capital market, use case, risk, and challenge. IOSCO will also further invest in collaboration and sharing best practices with regard to the use of subtech and artificial intelligence. At the end of 2023, the FSMA hosted, as you maybe know, in Belgium an IOSCO event on the development of new subtech with more than 100 participants. So it means the capacity is there, the audience is there, the involvement of everybody is there, and this clearly shows that there is a great demand and willingness to cooperate on subtech solutions. So what are my conclusions more or less on time? 3 minutes. First, in closing, I believe that artificial intelligence is not a threat to financial supervision. At the contrary, that's an opportunity. But this is an opportunity that must be managed wisely. Let us therefore embrace the tools that artificial intelligence offers while remaining vigilant about the risk it poses. Let us lead with integrity, foresight, and courage as well, so that financial supervision in the age of artificial intelligence is not just smarter, but also fairer, safer, and more resilient. Thank you for your attention and have a fruitful conference.